Alright, so the two of you with Vox and Zarissa are going to arrive outside of Vallaki. I know essentially we are going to toss you two from the same area of Daggerford in the Forgotten Realms. So you're kind of just arriving, last you remember, lost in mist and trying to travel through just an incredibly dense fog. And you just couldn't really ever see much more than a few feet in front of you. And as you start to see the first few signs of clearing from the mist and gaining some sort of visibility, the first thing you notice is pine trees. Unlike those that grow around Daggerford, you seem to have crossed into a different forest. And as the mist breaks, you see before you as a figure sitting atop a large wagon with two jet black horses drawing it forth seems to be speaking down to a group of three individuals who are then looking on at, from what you can initially tell, about four or so guards at the gates. As you approach a little bit closer, you will see that there are six guards here at the gate. The man on the horse-drawn carriage is going to turn after handing one of the young ladies a note and will ride off into the night back to the east on the road that's kind of before you here. And as you look on, you see this palisade of a wall that is just produced out of these pines cut into spikes drawn about 10 feet above the ground. And the six guards are looking at one of the figures is a small humanoid looking thing that appears to be entirely black furred. Has a what is he? I think he's about 4.5 feet tall. I think he's a shorter human. And then two more figures who, if Kavi, you can describe what your character looks like.
Kavi stands about like 5'7" with horns, with ram's horns. Depending on your position, you will see her tail just swishing back and forth as she's just looking amongst the group. Her eyes are a piercing snow white, and she has blue skin.
And then there's one more figure who, if you can describe yourself, Sarkis.
Yes, Sarkis is a short little halfling, little older, got bushy mustache and sort of like matted braids, almost like dreadlocky. And then he wears a little bit of leather armor and doesn't look particularly able-bodied, especially given his size. And then he's got like a sort of cool-looking walking stick, and you would notice like some intricate engravings on not only his stick but also the leather armor.
So you hear as a wolf seems to howl from off in the east, maybe a little bit north, and you feel a cold breeze come from over the land in that direction. And can I have the two of you describe what your character looks like as you walk into this group? The guards seem to be shaking. These three figures stand relatively, I would say, kind of proud and upright, while the guards are kind of shaking in their boots. And then, Vox, can you describe yourself? Maybe go to Zarissa while we see if Vox is having issues, maybe?
Okay.
Just like an overall thought of what you look like, what people's first impressions of you in kind of traveling outdoor gear, what they would first see, kind of general things like your height, skin, face that they might see, any identifying items that you can't like clearly conceal versus having like everything concealed beneath a cloak. Just like a general idea of what their initial thought would be seeing you.
Okay, now I was getting used to the sheep, but he has lavender like skin with a head of like one green eye and the other golden. He does have horns and also a tail, but mostly just like appears to just be like unamused about everything with all white armor.
Any of there, Seamus? Can you describe Vox? So we see what's going on there. One of the guards who's kind of standing closest to the adventurers as the cart moves away. I don't believe you are welcome in Vallaki.
Oh, you mean him? Oh, no, don't worry about him. We're definitely welcome.
Past dark, I cannot open the gates. You, you can, um, we must protect from the wolves.
Like you mean you can't open the gates for us, but we can still go in, or can you show me how to do it at least?
After dark, I cannot open the gates. He's like looking back at the other ones, and they're kind of like nodding together.
Oh, perfect. So we made it just on time. We can get in before the sun goes down then, yeah?
I'm afraid it is no.
Tell me the truth. I know we just met, but this isn't about Rahadin, is it?
We must keep the wolves out. The gates are not to be opened after dark. All will be well. Kind of like bows a little bit with his head and starts to like turn and walk away from you.
Hey, it's not going to be well if we have to sleep out here. We've got a young girl with us.
I'm very sorry. We cannot open the gates. That's we guard these gates from being opened. It's the past night. It is not safe.
Sarkis would just kind of look up at Kavi, confused, and look over.
Tavi will like kneel down so that she's like more their height and whisper like, "The back door."
All of the gates must be locked at dark. I am very sorry. All will be well.
Look, we're no trouble. We can pay. There must be someone we can talk to.
It is no trouble. It is the law of Vallaki. We are not able to open. The gates must remain closed. It is for the protection of the people.
Well, we can help protect them if you let us in.
I cannot change any rules. The laws, they are set for a reason.
Well, what time shift change? We can go in when you get done, when your replacements arrive.
We will be here until morning. We have to guard.
Oh, so this is it. It's you and us then, is it? Versus the wolves?
We keep to ourselves, we are usually safe. We will hopefully be safe another night.
Probably if you don't let us in, we may have more trouble than you're used to out here. I think that's why it's best that you see who's in charge. Can I sort of tell which of the three guards that we could see, if one of them appears to be like more ornately dressed or like in charge or anything I can notice?
You would essentially be talking to the one who seems to be in charge here.
I'm gonna step forward from where I am and just. Are there any other guards on patrol, or are you guys it?
So there's like a palisade of like cut trees, and there's like a guard in this general area with like three others, and they're essentially at like the ground level in front of the gates. And up and behind, like on the actual palisade, like on top of the wall, there's another few guards who seem to be kind of pacing back and forth. I feel like I started to hear something from Vox there.
Ah, can you hear me?
Yep, got you now.
Ah, so that's how push to talk works. Okay. Hello.
Hi there. Can you describe to us what Vox looks like?
Apologies, people. Fox is 6 foot tall, roughly 200 pounds, big guy, wearing chainmail, a cloak around him, and a large great sword by his side. Olive skin, rugged, kind of half beard look, and dark blonde hair.
So what were you thinking about going up to the guards with, Zarissa?
Yeah, would I have overheard the conversation?
Yeah, assuming you're not, like, standing off in the woods while wolves are, like, howling, I would assume that, yes, you would walk into this conversation.
I'm gonna walk up and look at the guards, and I'm not part of them. Can I come in?
I'm very sorry, the gates must remain locked past night.
What if you just say someone else is on patrol, that you didn't see anything, and the guards above say that one of them were down here instead?
We have to serve to protect our families. Our children are inside the walls. We are all just those who are protecting our wives, our husbands, our daughters, and our sons. It's not our choice. The doors must remain locked.
I'm sure there are some exceptions to such rules on occasion, good sir.
But I surely do not know what you would mean by an exception. It is surely not within my power to make such a thing.
I mean, we carry a valuable message from Father Donovich, and I think between the group of us, we could probably muster up enough to make it worth your while. And Sarkis will sort of like grab his little pouch and shake it, and you hear like some coins jingling around.
You have a message for Father Petrovich?
Yes, from the church to the church. Can't obviously tell you what it is, but valuable knowledge that could help in the struggles of these lands.
Perhaps. One moment. And he kind of like walks back off to some of the other guards, and he kind of like is pointing back towards the actual town. They seem to be talking amongst themselves for a few minutes here. And then they kind of come back to you all after a few moments and say, yes, we will send one of our men to go get Father Petrovich, and we will bring him to the gate here.
Ah, perfect. That's a start at least.
So as they head off, you see as the guards seem to be like drawing a short straw, and one of these dark-haired men kind of like stomps his feet a little bit, throws his fist, takes off his helmet, and he takes a moment to unbuckle his armor, and he kind of leaves some things behind, and he starts to run off and return into the city before disappearing for a while.
Sarkis will kind of like whisper in to the group and say, well, at least we've got us an in. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but we've got an audience.
Is Father Donovich well? Is safe?
Uh, yes, without revealing too much, there's situation, sort of breakthrough of fashions that may help in the overall uh, struggle of things. Nothing to get too excited yet, but possibilities.
So then he's dying?
I mean, we're all dying in a sense.
Yes, there is a lot of death. So some time passes before you eventually see a small boy coming forward. He's probably about like 10 or 11. Kind of gaunt, palish. He's got like a dark black hair, and he kind of like looks expectantly at you all. He's wearing just like a general brown kind of canvas, very austere monk's robe that's just tied about his waist with a rope. It's Father Donovich well. You have a message for my master.
Yes, clergy member, excellent. Yes, we have a message. Needs to be kept private, but if we could come inside.
I thought you all told me that they had a message for the father. They're being kept out for coming after dark. Do they look dangerous to you? One of the guards comes back to you after a few moments, kind of goes for the same line, just we can't open the gate past dark. I am very sorry. It is an unfortunate matter. If you need to share with the priest, you can, but you must remain outside.
You speak of the safety of your children and of your families, but what about this young girl? Do you not care about her safety because you do not know her?
That is precisely it. You are strangers in these lands. You could be bringing the very danger that we hope to keep out.
So just to make sure that we're on the same level then, if we stay here with you through the night, you'll let us in first thing when the sun rises?
The burgomaster has ordered that the gates be closed from dusk until dawn. If you remain here, you will be welcome once we open the gates at dawn. The priest boy just kind of like standing there a little surprised. Well, if you don't have a message, I am going to return. I will tell Father Petrovich that he will expect you, and you can come to the church tomorrow with your message.
Tell him that Father Donovich has sent us here with valuable accessory against evil, and that when he's ready, we await.
A valuable accessory against evil. Yes, I will tell the father.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts at present?
What kind of evening is it out tonight? Is it cold? Is it warm?
There's definitely a thorough chill in the air. You would have left to a chilly summer night, and probably the initial feeling that you would have in this change of temperature is actually a loss of quite a few degrees. It almost feels like fall. But otherwise, there's a crispness to the air. It smells fresh. It's quite heavily fogged in almost every direction. You can see a little bit over the palisades and the light of this town ahead of you. It's lightly lit. There's certainly activity in this little town. And probably in general, you could smell some burning firewood on the air.
Well, it seems to me that none of us are going very far tonight, other than these gates and walls. Perhaps it might be best to make camp by the gate where it's safe, and at least we'll be ready for the morn.
You are welcome to our fire here. If you would prefer, you can stay in one of the hunting shacks that are just beyond on the road there. They will at least present you with walls, but of course our fire is here.
You would hear Sarkis as he like kind of digs through his pouch. He's like pulling out a crowbar and a hammer. He's like digging around, pulling stuff out, kind of making a mess and kind of mumbling to himself. Traveled all the way here, made it away from the wolves, can't even get in here. We got perfectly good gold. They won't even give us a room. What kind of place is this?
Sounds like you've been on quite the journey.
Oh, you wouldn't believe me if I told you about it. And half the size, so it's twice the journey for me, but perfectly good gold. They won't even let us in.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Enough about me. Where are you coming from? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. What's your name there? I'm Sarkis.
Sarkis, pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Vox Blank.
Nice to meet you, Vox. Nice, stable-bodied individual. You're probably twice my size, at least.
I do all right, I suppose.
Great, I'm sticking to you if the wolves come back. uh,
Wolves, you say?
wolves, werewolves, direwolves. I don't know. They're just gigantic wolf things. You'll know when they get here. I promise you that much.
It's pretty regular wolves, like wolf howling on the night sky. Most of it is pretty much going to be rather localized to the northeast of where you all are.
Hmm.
Say, where are you coming from, out of curiosity?
Coming from Daggerford. Well, just on the outskirts.
You all would have been hunting in the misty forest as well.
And recently hunting in the Misty Forest.
Interesting. And I'll kind of look over at the party and sort of like with my eyes saying to him, like, yeah, sounds like the regular story.
Did you just arrive here? Or have you been here for a little bit?
Yeah, I think we just about arrived here. Right about when you guys have, from the look of things.
What was the date when you arrived? Like when you got to the forest?
What date is it today?
We don't know.
Ah, well, funny enough, nor do I. Seem to have lost track of time.
Hard to keep track without the sunrise and set. It's always dark in this place.
Yeah, yeah. Now that you mention it, it does feel like forever since I last saw the sun.
Would Kavi remember like the date when they arrived to the forest?
Time would have been different since you've arrived, but I feel like I gave a date for when everything started off.
Alright, because I'm just like trying to piece like a relative timeline, like when they entered the forest and like when Fox and Larissa entered the forest.
Have you been traveling long in the forest yourself?
Well, in this forest, we've traveled about a half a day, a full day, give or take. But like, we're talking about the Misty Forest. We were there for like a night before we arrived here.
I see.
We were in Barovia and traveled about a day and a half since we left there. Looking forward to a nice, relaxing night inside the walls. And kind of like yell back at the guards loud enough for them to hear it.
Sees the two guards on top of the walls, like kind of jump to attention and drop their spears down a little bit, and then kind of get back and just start back to pacing.
I
Yeah.
hope they fight along with us if the wolves show up. I don't want to die with an audience.
Carissa's gonna step in after listening and just look at him and be like, they'll probably watch and do nothing, and once the wolves are done with your bodies, use them for firewood.
Yeah, they'll probably look the other way. I'm grouchy. I need something to eat. Is there like a fire right around there?
Yeah, the main like guards would be standing their rotation like around a fire next to a guard post of sorts, which is essentially just a vague roof over their position. And then they're kind of like standing behind just like blockades.
If we're gonna sleep in the woods, at least I'll have a full belly when I die. And he'll go over and start like pulling out some rations and preparing them. Anyone else?
I think that sounds like a splendid idea.
Oh, what are you cooking?
Oh, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Why, you hungry there, fella?
Your your rations look strange. They look interesting. We have very little variety here. Would you like some wolf jerky?
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey, Kavi, you still got one of those cakes? This guy looks like he could take a nap. uh, seriously though, yeah, I'll take some beef jerky or wolf jerky.
You have cake too?
It's sort of an inside joke. I would not eat the cake, honestly, if I were you. You're probably not going to do too good if you do.
She pulls some cake out of her pocket. Here you go.
Oh, thank you so very much.
Sarkis gonna like give like a kind of wide eye to Kavi as she like hands him the cake.
Shrug.
And then I'll definitely take some of that jerky from him and offer it out to everybody as I kind of keep fixing my rations.
Going to town on the cake. Is this one of Morganta's? This is delicious. Thank you so much.
I don't know her name, but she's a crazy old lighthouse lady.
Yes, Morganta makes the best dream pastries. They're absolutely wonderful.
You're not afraid you're going to be dreaming on the job?
Oh, they do not put you to sleep. No, they just make you happy.
So they're drugged.
I mean, you gave a pastry to one of the guards.
I think I only took one pastry though.
Yeah, so if you gave him a pastry, he would have eaten it. But yeah, it's just one guard.
Anyways, besides the wolves, do you have anything to like hunt around here?
There are some nice wild animals if you go up into the mountains. I have heard some of the hunters from the Blue Water Inn. They have gone up to Mount Baratok. Others have gone to the south. There is another mountain there in which people have hunted for a. There is a large ram that is near Lake Luna. But yes, there's some good hunting. There's very many wild beasts. There's mostly wolves though. We eat a lot of wolf.
But anything in the immediate forest?
Like outside of here? And he just like points to the east of you, like towards the trees there.
Yes.
There's a lot of wolves. Maybe you could find some rats. Most of the rats live in the abandoned houses, though.
Didn't these two say they were out here hunting in the woods? Did you guys get anything interesting, or just wolves?
Um, Sad to say, we hadn't come by much of yet, so open to the idea of either joining you guys for further hunts, or alternatively just buckling down on the rations we have, make a good meal.
I think you'll find, as they walked out of the mist, they are not where they expect that they are. I do not think your friends were hunting here, but they were invited here. All of you far travelers come the same ways.
Do you know how we go back?
You must speak to the Vistani if you expect to go back.
The Vistani.
Yes, the Vistani. They are the playthings of the devil. They walk through the mist like it is nothing. All of us, we suffer and we die to walk through that mist. It is a fucking hellscape, and you will only ever walk back to where you are wished to be. There is no walking into the mist for any but the Vistani.
Uh-huh. Oh, they don't sound like the talkative kind of people.
They're charming enough, but they all work for the devil. Do not let them tell you otherwise, and do not get a false impression. If they are being kind, it is to gain something from you, whether it be all of your possessions, your life, or all of your gold. Gold usually is the best outcome.
Good to know.
Well, I can at least go try and find some wolf to eat.
You are going to walk out into the forest now? I have dried wolf here. You are welcome to our rations. I do not mean to be inhospitable. Vallaki is a kind and opening village, but we just have to close it off at night. Just at night, but it's very open during the day.
You do realize come morning you're going to feel very foolish that you realize that we are not the people warranted of being left out in the cold.
Everybody must be locked out. It is a rule that when it becomes dark, we must lock the gates.
Of course, I understand.
So, just out of curiosity, like what percentage, like how many out of like 10 people that stay the night out here in front of the gate are still alive the next day to get in?
Most people know to get here before dark.
What's like your guard casualty count? Like how many of your like friend guards have died this week? out here on late night duty?
I believe 3.
Oh,
But like
great! I'm
2
sure
of
we'll be
those
5.
guards, they were doing other things, and it was not our fault. It was like their made bad choices. People go disappearing all the time, and it does not mean that they are dying on guard duty. They were just on guard duty when they went disappeared. It's a very complex situation, but like maybe 1, maybe 3?
Well, that sounds comfortable.
It's gonna be a long night.
Yep.
So how close were we? Like, were we like almost here on time, or were we way off? Because we were traveling all day.
I believe we closed the gates, maybe a good bit before you all. When the sun went down is when we would have closed them. So I think you all came maybe 2 hours after then. It is hard to say what time it is in the dark. It's never easy to tell. So as you all are relaxing, Sarkis is cooking a meal, and you question and speak with the guard here and there. They seem to just be kind of staring off to the last wolf howl, and time just seems to slowly be passing by until shortly after kind of everybody shares a bit of a meal. Anything that you would have made, some of the guards would have added more of their ration jerky into kind of a communal bit of a feast, as much as you all would be open to it. And shortly after everyone's kind of finishing up a little bit of a meal here, there starts to be the sound of clapping horse hooves across the path coming from the east.
Would I be able to know exactly who's coming by the sound of the horse?
Is there a reason that you would know the sound of a horse hooves from another?
Well, just wondering if there was any like, if Rahadin only had the one horse in this whole place.
He would have been with a wagon drawn by 2 horses, but both of them were like jet black horses. At present, though, you all like hear the hooves, not actually see anything. And unless it's like something that I'm not aware of, I don't think you could just hear the difference. After just like a gentle few moments passes by, you start to see the first sign of just a dark brown horse coming up along the path from the east. It's not trotting. It's very like comfortably walking. And on top there is a like kind of dirty blonde-haired man who's riding his horse. He's got a torch up above his head and kind of behind his head, so he's cast a little bit more in silhouette. You do see again like kind of a dirty brown hair from him. He seems to be clad in like leather browned armor, and is riding his horse, which has kind of very basic livery, but it's all just like a leather saddle, and seems to be riding up to the gate of Vallaki. This seems to be a quite interesting party you have here at the gates.
I don't know him.
That would have essentially been the gentleman riding up on the horse, kind of commenting to you all with the guards.
Okay.
Yes, unfortunately, we arrived a little late, so spending the night out here tonight.
Oh, that is most unfortunate. Surely there is something that you could do for these young people and this hairy creature, as he kind of points off towards Flea. Lars, if I were to bring some guests into the city, it would not matter this way or that if they were to come in a little bit after dark. Well, we can't open the gates after dark. Nobody's allowed in. Yes. Nobody's allowed in, surely. But if they were arrived before dark, it would be no thing. And, as you know, we arrived well before dark.
Sarkis will perk up hearing this, and you'll hear like a little echo, kind of just loud enough to hear it. Well before dark, we can hear. Yep.
Well, I mean, surely if you arrived well before dark, the gates would not be closed to you, and you could definitely enter. But Vasily, it is well after dark. Perhaps you misunderstand the situation, and just re-understand things. You all look well fed. Perhaps you took to your dinner with your friends, and you imagined a more lively feast than what you have enjoyed. It is a wonderful thing to have a creative imagination. And Lars, is better to be merry, and remember that all will be well. Yes. Just, well before dark. Well, friends, if you would, I would invite you into the city of Vallaki, and perhaps you could come and stay with me. Assume you do not need another meal, but if anybody needs a warm bed, a warm meal is certainly an option as well. And he rides beyond the gates, and the guards seem to open up the gate for him, and they kind of pause, looking back at you all.
Oh, perfect. Just a second dinner. And Sarkis starts like gathering up all his shit. He's got so much stuff spread out from cooking and eating and everything. Like jamming it back into his sack to run inside.
Ooh, was that some pocket bacon there?
Yep, here, keep it.
Thank you. Thank you for the dream cake! Guard just got like a big old smile on his face. So is everybody following the gentleman on the horse into Vallaki?
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, Zursa's gonna glare at the guards along the way.
Just kind of like shrugs back at you. He's like trying not to like take credit. He's like, I'm just doing my job. I don't have another choice. You're not to open the gates. You arrived well before dark.
All before, Lars. Thank you.
Fox shakes his head as he walks past.
My apologies that you have to be disturbed by our guards. They do mean their best. They just want to keep the people of Vallaki safe. You must forgive them for sticking to the letter of the law. The burgomaster is quite strict. He intends to protect the people of Vallaki with all that he can. All will be well.
Well, it's mighty kind for giving us passage at night.
So he's kind of... Go ahead, Doc. Ah, damn it, Sarkis.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we were getting ready to come in anyway, just doing a little more recon, but perfect timing you came along when you did. What did you say your name was?
You can call me Vasily. It is a pleasure to meet you.
I'm Sarkis. Nice to meet you. Vasily, is it?
He like steps off from his horse and just kind of drops from the last foot to kind of like lean down from beside his horse, holding the reins to shake your hand. Vasily von Hotz at your service. It is a pleasure to meet you. Sarkis?
Yes, nice to meet you, Vasily. It's much easier to understand you when you're not 10 feet away up on that beast.
Well, we all have our place. And he puts his foot back up into the stirrup and very seamlessly hops back onto the saddle. He starts to trod, like with the horse kind of like half sideways. So he's kind of looking at you all over his left shoulder. And you're entering into the city. There's very similar hovels inside as like the little hunting buildings outside. Most of the structures in here are very roughly hewn wooden structures that give you walls, roofs, and some open spaces to allow air circulation. And most of them have light coming off from them. But as Vasily is kind of walking in front of you all, you start to pass by 8 or 10 residences until you see on the north side of the road a very massive building open up that has, you see 6, 8 windows just on the front of the house. It seems to be 3 stories tall. And Vasily kind of rides to the side. He's like, "You can welcome yourselves inside. I will be right back from the stables. But you are my guests in my home. Please join me." And he kind of rides to the side. It's just a large, another like Victorian style of very like tall, slender homes. And there is a large wooden door with a pretty ornate stained glass window that's kind of just set up directly in front of you on a little bit of a porch. Not terribly wide, but it just seems large enough to kind of sit a chair off. But there are no furniture on the actual porch.
I'm not sure if I can manage this door by myself, but he invited us in. Sarkis will run up and reach up, try to open the door.
Little bit of a creak to it, but very little less than like you kind of turn the doorknob and you can't tell if the doorknob's creaking or if the actual hinges are. But after just that little bit of a, the door just kind of smoothly opens, and there's just like kind of a welcoming room. It's like a red velvet kind of carpet laid across hardwood floors, and there's different hooks that you could hang like a traveling cloak from, and there are a few hanging, like 2 black ones, and then just like a almost like golden blend in purple one. And then there's probably 5 more hooks. It's a pretty large, just welcoming entry area. And directly in front of you, there's just like an open wooden kind of presentation of like a It's like a hunting scene with like deer and antelope kind of running, and it's like carved into the wood of this little banister, and then there is a stair behind, and after a moment you notice the dark-haired gentleman kind of pops up out of one of the windows, and he looks to you. Come, come, beyond. We have a more comfortable sitting room here, and you can see on the second level here, I have 4 different guest rooms. You are all... One person can sleep on the bottom level here, and that can be the 5 guest rooms if you all require your own arrangements. Is that 6? Yes. I will have somebody make up another room for you as well, little lady. And kind of like says that as he's like bending over, like looking down at Sophia. Did everybody have a good meal at the guard post? Do you require anything at all? Care for?
I mean, maybe a light snack.
Do you crave salty? Do you like sweets? Would you... You have gray hair, but you are the size of a child. Are you... What with... And, what are you?
Oh, it's a long story. It's a long story. Yeah, sweet, salty. It all sounds great. I'll tell you all about us. You tell us about you. Thought we were
You
getting ready
speak
to
with the
spend the night
voice
out
of an old man, but you are a little child.
No, I'm full grown. I'm just different. That's all it is. You never seen a halfling before?
A halfling? Somebody has taken the other half?
Like the snack pack of humans.
I'm not familiar with the snack pack, but I fear you are missing more than half of it.
It's like a little mini me. You know, big things come in small packages.
And these two... You are most certainly not missing anything. And he looks up at both Sarissa and Kavi, and he just kind of looks over. You're clearly looking at your flesh, focused on your horns, and he also is noticing each of you walking with a tail kind of swaying behind you. Your people have never been here in the past. My apologies. It is rude of me to ask so many questions. I should feed you first. I have some wonderful treats. We have different delightful things, as well as... We have different meat selections. Wolf, 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 and wolf. But if you like wolf, you've come to the right place. Kind of invites you all into a bit of a sitting room, and it gives you a nice little spot to sit down and relax yourselves. It seems partially set, and it already has 7 places at it. And there is a moment where Vasily kind of walks towards the head chair. He does open a bottle of wine, and he will pour everybody 2 bottles of wine. He will pour everybody a glass. And then before leaving, he drinks his, draining the glass, and then he walks off towards the kitchen. Or at least you see him disappear, and then you hear happenings in the kitchen. He comes back with a plate of delicious little treats. Almost all of them sweet, but he does have some like dried meats on it as well. Here you all can enjoy these, if I may say so myself. The Turkish delights are one of my personal favorites. I think you will be quite amazed by how delicious they are. And if you care for a little bit of a salty, we have these dried wolves here. And then I have a special wolf steak that I am preparing, and we can all enjoy a nice warm meal as well. But tell me, are you all new to this area that you have been locked outside of Vallaki? You seem to be far travelers. What brings you here now to Vallaki? They are a very private place.
We traveled from Barovia and got a little held up along the way, so we arrived after dark, but we're no harm to these people. But we do understand that there are rules. We're lucky that you arrived when you did, and we thank you for your hospitality.
Oh, it is nothing at all. You are most welcome in my home. Very interesting of what you might be able to tell me of what has happened in Barovia. It has been quite some time since I have traveled in those places.
Nothing good. You're definitely not missing much. Where were you traveling to or from?
I had to visit some of the wanderers, the Vistani. Madame Eva had a gift for me. I had to go and receive from her.
Really, I've heard that name before, but don't know much about her.
She is the, how do you say? She is the matriarch of the Vistani who live at Serpool. She's quite a wonderful lady, as far as Vistani go. But she's good. She's a good person. To our far travelers, the Vistani say that everyone should go to a Vistani to receive their fortune upon arrival in this land that they transgress. They are the ones who see the stars in a land where they do not exist.
You've been honest with us from what we can tell, so I'll be honest with you. We were sort of trying to keep a low profile, trying to stay under Strahd's radar.
That is a noble thought, and it belies that you are indeed far travelers. You will find it a difficult pursuit to not be seen when Strahd wishes to see you. But I certainly understand. The burgomaster of Vallaki, he does everything he can to prevent the devil from coming to this place and destroying our wonderful town. We might suffer our hospitality for it. I am very sorry that you enjoyed such a rude welcoming to Vallaki. We're not always like this.
Teresa is gonna grab a Turkish delight and just look at everyone like, what am I missing? But stay silent.
Do you, the player, have a question that you are trying to not be clueless on?
No, she's just listening.
Cool. Because again, part of the convenience of stepping through the mist is you two should be pretty fucking baffled at this point. As far as like what's going on, everything should feel fucking weird. if you give me a few more moments, I will prepare the actual dinners, and then I will return shortly here, and we can enjoy any more conversation. And then when you are tired and ready for bed, we can give you your rooms to sleep in. But I will make some wonderful wolf steaks for us.
Much obliged.
As I kind of like look around the room or the house so far from what we've seen, this is like a pretty nice house, I'm assuming. Does it look like well kept?
Yeah, everything in here looks pretty spotless. It might have been some time since a lot of like the wood has been waxed, but like almost all of the actual walls are hardwood, the floors are hardwood. Many of the walls are actually like a carved wood inlaid. So there's a very beautiful like luxury to this entire house. Everything is big wood presentation, and it's like the pinnacle of Victorian decadence. So he comes back a little bit later, like having a few different like pots of what ends up being like some greens, some like a different like grain, like a rice, and then he just has a large platter that is just presented with this like large loin, and it's cut in a way that you can see that he took great pride in how he presented and prepared the actual meat itself. It's cooked into like a different like band of all of the different ways that you can enjoy it, from near rare to well done, and it's just presented across this incredibly like gorgeous silver platter. And he'll kind of walk back into the room, kind of set it towards the center of the table for you all, and he sits and he takes a little bit from the kind of rare side of the platter and eventually moves back to his kind of location around the chair, preparing a small plate for himself, enjoying a little bit more wine than everything else. And so it is understandable that the guards would keep you for the night. It's unfortunate when new people arrive after evening. But what has brought you to Vallaki? Why have you fled from Borovia? Is Kolyan well? What can you tell me, please? Eat, speak, let me know. I'm very curious.
Sarkis will start like picking out as much as his little halfling self could eat.
Marisa's gonna grab a plate of like the most well done pieces of meat that's on there, along with a bunch more Turkish delights.
Oh, fine, fine. He's doing fine. Just spoke with him. There was a little funeral procession. We were just trying to get a little scenery, make sure that we could sort of get away if we needed to with and then he'll kind of look over at Sophia.
The procession of the dead? It is unfortunate. What were you thinking?
Oh, I was just gonna like ask him if he had heard about the burgomaster.
Oh, my condolences. It was Kolyan who passed away.
Yes, Ismark was broken up by the loss of his father, but was able to help us on our way here with hopes of safe place to stay in the meantime.
Ismark is not his father, but we can wish the best for Barovia. It is quite unfortunate if Kolyan has passed. Well, do not let me keep you all. If you are tired and you would like to rest, we can have a room for you all. There is no worries here. Would everybody like their own comforts? Do you need separate rooms? Would you like just... Do not know how your people... Do you take half a room because you're half the size? Do you need an extra space for your tail?
Carissa's just gonna glare and make motion to the Turkish delights, asking if she could take them with her.
You normally not talk about your tail? You can definitely take the delights, though. You can enjoy. Enjoy. I will make more for tomorrow.
He just nods in acknowledgement.
Assuming that nobody has any interest in asking any other questions, he kind of shows you off to individual rooms, taking a few moments to prepare a 7th room. So you all have a room? I feel like that would be correct. Why am I feel like 6, and maybe I said 5. I felt like I had one more. But he prepares a room for everybody. You can get a long rest here. And basically the next morning you hear a process of cooking early in the morning. Seemed like a awfully wonderful night's sleep, and you just kind of wake up stretching. Hazy glibness. It's not actually bright. But you smell eggs, toast, Turkish delights, and you hear the clinging clangs of an active kitchen. And eventually, upon walking down into the sitting room, you see a large presentation of food, and Vasily is kind of just relaxing after a few moments, enjoying a glass of wine, sitting back at the head of the table.
Vasily, thank you so much for a great night's rest and all this lovely food. I wonder if you might be able to answer a couple of
All right, my bad, Seamus. I heard most of that into that, but I kind of lost you at, you were like, I wonder if, and right as you were asking your question, it was breaking up.
I wonder if I could ask you some questions. Did
Yes, you can most certainly ask me a question. What were you thinking?
Is there any news from the city or anything interesting?
My bad, you're still breaking up, Seamus. I'm getting like every other word. Maybe, I don't know how your microphone is connecting, but can you maybe spin the connector? I'm not sure what it could be, but it just seems like it's kind of breaking up after.
Okay. We okay now?
That sounds better.
Okay. Could you tell us of any news of interest of current going on around the city?
There is always the next event that the Burgomaster intends to throw. I believe his next one is a blessing to the sun god. He will flog people who disagree with him. He will do his thing, but there is very little events in the city of Vallaki. The Wolf's Head Jamboree has come and gone. Everybody has plenty of wolf meat now, but it does not protect us. The Burgomaster is insane. His events are just as insane as he is. They only... my bad. I ramble on. On the weekends, you are more than welcome to enjoy your time with the Burgomaster. I believe he is having a fantastic festival to the sun in 3 days' time. I think you are nearly there. You will have a fantastic all will be well time, and you should not miss it. And this whole time he's clearly speaking very facetiously, and he changed that entire demeanor from talking shit about the Burgomaster to clearly mocking these festivals.
It sounds like you have a lot of reservations or perhaps even disdains for the festival. I might not be bold in saying so.
It's still kind of breaking up. I think I heard what you said. It's a liberty I take to be truthful about the Burgomaster. He is in power, yes, but what is power in this land when we are all beneath the gaze of the devil? It is unfortunate, but he is a necessary evil. And if the people believe that he keeps them safe, he will stay in power.
Just to check, would Vox know who the Burgomaster is already?
No, again, you guys are walking in clueless here. You have no fucking clue. I don't think it is absurd for you to know in general what a Burgomaster is, but otherwise you would have to ask to kind of have any idea on those things.
Oh, this Burgomaster, be a master of burgling, right?
No, 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 no. It is an unfortunate translation. The far traveler language. A mayor. A town master. This is the Berg, and he is the Berg master.
Ah, I see. My humble apologies.
Oh, it is no apologies necessary. They are most of them pass down the title across their family. Uh some are more prominent than others. I believe Madame Wachter is actually... I think her family has the longest line, and it is very recently, actually, when Baron Baron Valakonovich has actually taken power here. It is a recent turn that people have found their interest in all will be well and the protections therein.
I see. And would you say have there been any ill tidings of late, or more than usual, perhaps?
In Barovia, so, what is more than of late? Uh, ill tidings are tidings. Every day you wake up is an ill tiding. Every day you do not is an ill tiding.
Right, right. Live by the sword, die by the sword, kind of thing. I understand.
Well, it's more live by the sword, die by the sword, and then still be stuck here dead, but not dying.
Oh, sorry. Come again on that last part.
Oh yeah, like you are stuck here. Um, Nobody leaves this place but the Vistani. You can die here and you will still be stuck in this place. There is no escape, not even death. You are here forever.
Sure, like your body stays here and the soul departs on, sort of thing.
Yeah, like until it ends up in another body, yes.
Sarissa's gonna just fill up her plate as much as she can at this point to hide like her reactions to whatever is going on.
Celia's just gonna kind of like stare over as Zarissa's got like 17 Turkish delights in her mouth. And she's like chewing down, and half as much Turkish delight is falling out of her face. They are not going anywhere. You are more than welcome to take your time eating all of the Turkish delights.
She's gonna just make a muffled response while putting her thumb up in the air.
It has been a pleasure with you all. I am glad that you have a safe evening inside of Vallaki. You will, of course, be welcome. If you need a place to stay, I can certainly welcome you again. But for today, I will have to return to some of my business and head on out. I have many things to do. I have to get to Kresk before the night is out.
One more question, just out of curiosity, does Strahd ever come in the city?
The Burgomaster would tell you he does not. He is quite sure that all of his festivals and his protections of this land are, thorough. But he is also quite skilled at ignoring any time somebody disappears. And I assure you, people disappear from Vallaki all of the time. But please, do not share that with the public here. Most of the people of this land believe that their palisade protects them, and if that were to fall, we would have little town left. I do not believe anybody would remain civil if they did not believe that the devil was kept out.
The illusion of safety provides comfort, sort of thing.
We also don't know. Perhaps the Burgomaster is truth, and he is right that sacrificing wolves, flogging people, many of these things, pretending that we are happy, all will be well, and we will keep the devil away. You can make your own decision for yourself. I, for one, will try to travel swiftly, stick to my trusty horse and the trusty roads, and count on the protection of humans rather than the faith of idiots. So, after a few goodbyes, he heads back out to the stables, instructing you all that while you are still welcome in the house, he will not be returning this evening. But otherwise, he kind of wishes you all a good day in Vallaki and hopes you find what you were looking for as he rides back off to the west.
Once he's gone is when Cabby starts like taking several of the Turkish delights and just like stuffing them in her bag, almost like childlike thievery of not being allowed to get into cookies.
Sarissa's gonna snipe some as well, because that's her favorite now.
So, for what it's worth, I don't think there's any reason that you two probably couldn't load up on probably like up to like a pound or so of these things. After the first night, he would have set out almost twice as many, like an entire platter of Turkish delights. After the first night where they were just like one of the things on a platter of sweets, he definitely like kind of would have switched that up and put out like a larger presentation there. So you could definitely collect up quite a few if you would like to.
You guys seem to really like those Turkish delights, huh?
Would definitely be a time where having like pure sugar is a massive luxury.
This is what I'm also going to point out. Like, Kavi's appearance is disheveled. Like, she did not sleep very well, or at all.
You didn't sleep, take exhaustion.
More like she couldn't sleep.
Roll a constitution check. Alright, you're good. You're good.
Ah, nice.
Nice roll. Good save.
Safe from the nightmares.
So, did we just get like really lucky last night and stumbled upon Vasily just in time, and he just fed us and let us stay in his house, and then just rode off into the distance? Anyone else suspicious, or is that just fine?
Well, the same thing more or less happened at Barovia with the inn.
I suppose that is true, and look how that turned out. I mean, overall, good, but
Seemed quite nice. Invited us to dinner. We got to relax. Didn't have to stay outside.
he
He was
did say that.
also talking about demons and someone named Strahd. Like, is he on something?
No, we're pretty sure Strahd is the ruler of this land. And it's kind of been watching us and perhaps me. Uh, if Ivanovich told us the truth, and this would be a small little child who I think I can share her picture. Just kind of like clad in like a dark black and brownish like leathers. It's got just absolutely fire red hair, and then see a few like hilts of different weapons kind of tucked into her leathers, but otherwise seems to be a small child, young, early teens, and she usually is kind of slinking back, more or less doing everything to be unseen, and just kind of gives like a little warning that like Ismark seems to recognize me as his sister who has been lost, and we are worried that Strahd is coming after me.
So, not to interpose here, but you two haven't met Strahd yet?
Uh, no. Can't say that I have.
Bucks, Zarissa's gonna agree in agreement. Nod her head in agreement.
Kavi just like makes eye contact at Larissa and says, "Consider yourself lucky."
Oh, so you two don't know then, do you?
Know what?
Wherever you were in the mist, in the woods, you're not there anymore. We're in a different world.
What do you mean, another world? Thought we just left off the Sword Coast.
We're still figuring it out, but we're in some sort of dark, alternate land.
Barista?
She just exhales really, really heavily before reaching for another Turkish delight to shove into her mouth so she could stay quiet.
Did you two die? Did you get attacked before you came here?
Box checks over his body and then looking for stab wounds or some sort of anything that could have harmed him. No. As last I checked, still in one piece.
When we landed here, we were more or less healed from that battle, correct?
You asking each other, or are you asking for outside information?
Outside information, because I can't remember.
Yeah, you all woke up in the mist from unconsciousness, but you would have been rather bloodied and injured at the time.
Oh,
So I guess not everyone gets here the same way. We've obviously been here longer than you. We came looking for the little one, and we were attacked in the night, and we fell. When we woke up, we were here.
still very strange. Box doesn't freak out a lot, but that's even in his own calm manner of speaking. Tell he's, well, probably couldn't tell, but that's him actually quite.
You didn't see the castle, like, as you were traveling?
Could we have seen a castle?
Nope, you all stepped out of the mist, and you would have seen Vallaki before you. Mountains to the south of it, mountains to the northwest and northeast, kind of behind you. But unless you were specifically looking for anything, you would have seen a city behind a high wooden gate around the entirety of it, inside of this valley, and mist. Just hazy darkness.
No, no, no castles. Just a lot of mist.
Well, there'll be plenty of time to get to know this place, but perhaps we should check out the town.
That would probably be best.
Zarissa's gonna nod her head in agreement.
Kavi, did you notice he mentioned Madame Ava and getting your fortunes read?
Well, we had what's his face tell us not to. Now we have like he's like the fourth one that told us to.
Yes, and he spoke of the Vistani.
Just for the fact that Vastani are in alliance with Strahd, I already don't trust them.
Yes, we're in a strange predicament because if Strahd wanted us and he's as powerful as I think he is, or he thinks he is, then I don't see why he wouldn't have taken us by now. So anyone that aids us must know that they're in lieu with the master of these lands. So why would they help us?
Well, it's not like we also openly told them like, "Hey, we came in contact with Strahd."
Perhaps you're right, but seems like the more answers we get, the more questions we have.
You all walking and talking? Do you have somewhere that you'd like to go inside of Vallaki? Are you still inside of Vasily's home?
Yeah, I guess if everybody loaded their pockets up, some treats to go, we probably just would like go into town and kind of get a feel for things.
So, leaving his actual house, you're kind of on like an initial corner where the road heads back to the east, which would shortly after leave Vallaki as you go back through the gates. It's kind of just within view that if you took the little bit of effort to kind of walk like slightly to the east and a little closer to the house to get a line, you could see that the gates were open. But it's otherwise just enough of a turn from that point on that you really just see some of the like hovels of houses. There's a little bit of a walkway. It's not like a road, but it is like a tiled with like stones here and there. Road that kind of continues off to the north of where you're at, and then to the south of you and a little bit ahead to the west. There seems to be another turn that leads to the south, and the main road seems to otherwise continue on to the west. You can kind of see up that there is a little bit of a incline in the road as you start to move westward into Vallaki, as well as you see that there's a larger presentation of a bit of a mansion up to the north and no south and west of you. That like climb in the road is a little bit more prominent to the south, and you can see the highest point in Vallaki.
Are we too far away, or are we able to hear like if there are people outside?
Oh, if you head outside of Vasily's home, yeah, you'll very quickly start to see people out and about on the road. Many people are kind of walking in twos and threes, very plain clothing. Most everyone you will see will have dark jet black hair. Don't necessarily seem to be like doing a lot, but there will be people walking on that main road pretty regularly, and a few of them seem to be holding pieces of parchment paper.
Well, I'm glad we're not another ghost town.
Quite the improvement from Barovia. And Sarkis will just kind of like nod his people as we walk down.
Sarissa's gonna just give them an astonished look of like, what are they talking about?
Fox listen.
So just out of curiosity, I'm not sure if it's an option, but you guys in need of any gear or tools or anything, just in case?
So, assuming that you all are just walking across Vallaki at this point, do you have any aims? Are you looking for anything in particular here? Do you want to go to the priests? What would you like to do in town?
I think we should start off with the priest.
Yeah, we don't really have a ton of information on this city, so it's definitely a good place to start.
I think you would have heard from the boy the night before that the priest was on the west side of the town. You can kind of walk until you think you see a church, or you can kind of stop and inquire with people. But if you walk across town, it's probably about like an hour or two of just kind of slowly walking, and eventually you come close to the western gates, when you would see like low into the western portion of like the valley that this is in. There is a part where there's a very clear chapel. It's another like kind of T shape with a climbing cemetery coming up into the west of it. On the stone structure, it's not well kept, but it still seems to be solid stone walls.
Does this one appear to have any like large claw marks or anything in it?
As you come up closer to the walls, doesn't appear to be marked with any claws. It seems well intact.
Does it seem to be as like the same sect of church as the one in Barovia?
It's pretty general, similar construction. The actual building itself seems to be relatively simple, similar like chapel construction. There's little bits that you might be able to pick out with like an extensive understanding of religion, but in general, you can do a religion check. But yeah, this is likely the same sect of church.
Fox religion.
Kind of heard that you were asking a question, and then I lost your mic again. It's very spotty.
Oh God, so sorry. Is that better?
It's a little bit better. I don't know what you're doing, but I feel like with effort I can hear you, but otherwise most of the time it seems to go right back to spotty.
Right now?
I heard now clearly.
Oh my God.
That was clear.
Yeah, maybe I just speak.
I heard maybe and then it broke up.
Vox has a proficiency in religion. He can do the religion. Did you hear that?
Not really. Everything is very spotty. I heard religion. Like, do you want to do a religion check? What are you trying to figure out?
Are you saying Vox is proficient in religion?
Yes. 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 I'm checking my mic settings to find out what the issue is here.
That seemed much clearer there, so I'm not sure what you were changing. I mean, you are welcome to do a religion check. I am curious what you were trying to figure out so I can give you an answer that fits what you're looking for as well.
Yep. Is that better now?
For right there, yes.
Okay, I think I had the mic gain too high.
That might have been it for sure. Something like that was blocking it off because that seemed a little bit better yet.
Is it still patchy, or is that fine now?
It's not entirely like clear that you're speaking in a long sentence, but that seemed good. So, what are you trying to look for, religious-wise?
Well, not really anything in particular, but this story.
It's still doing it. If it's a gain thing, definitely give it a little bit more space.
Okay.
But I feel like it could definitely be a filter that is causing the issue. But, like, in general, looking at this church, it seems to be dedicated to a sun god. And that is effectively what you all would gather here.
Since I'm a cleric from the light domain, would I notice anything about would I would know anything about sun gods?
Have you picked what deity you yourself worship?
No, I don't think so yet.
So without necessarily knowing where you're going to go with religion, you would be vaguely familiar with Lithander, the sun god in of where you're from. Like, that's just general Sword Coast.
I do a religion check to see if it is anything that deals with Sword Coast and Vander.
Yeah, you are welcome to. So yeah, going with, what was it? 8 was the first roll, basically. Um, it's not extremely clear what is going on with their sun deity. It has generic sun, like, illusions to it. But whatever this presentation is, it most surely is not Lithander. What's everybody thinking with the church? You have arrived to it?
Does it, from the outside, we tell if there's like worship going on?
It seems silent.
Darkus will walk up to the door and grab the handle and look back at the party. God's house, so everyone should be welcome, right? And he'll open the door.
As you open it up, you see a long hall that leads forward until it seems to open up into a larger area inside of that kind of T shape. In the wings, there seem to be pews, and then there is a single, like, wooden kind of pulpit at the end. And inside, once you kind of head past those initial hallways, you do see Father Petrovich, who is just kind of sitting facing in this general direction, but he's not actually up at the pulpit. He's just almost like in the choral area. And he's just kind of head down, seems to be praying.
I'll approach him.
After a few moments of silence, he slowly starts to lift his head. Welcome. And how are you?
I'd say doing just fine, considering. I'm assuming that you're Father Petrovich.
Indeed. And you are?
Friends of Father Donovich. Traveled from Barovia in the evening last night.
How pleasing. And how is Father Donovich?
Oh, he's doing well, considering.
Considering. Taking another breath is always doing well. Have you all come for shelter?
Well, came to the town to get a little further away from Strahd, so I suppose that's one way to put it.
That is certainly understandable. And we can offer you some shelter here.
Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about Madame Ava.
I know of her. I know little of the Vistani. I do not often leave, and they are not welcome here in Vallaki. So, it has probably been many ages since I last traveled to Barovia. And I'm sure I met her and saw her that day, but it's been so long. I do not remember the last time I spoke to a Vistani, but I guess maybe it would have been her. So you are far travelers? You have come for the Vistani? For protection from them?
We came for this child, and now we're not really sure why we're here or how to get her home.
Another orphan. It's no big surprise. She is welcome in the House of St. Andra. We can certainly keep her if that is your desire.
No, her mother's looking for her.
She's here in Vallaki? Maybe she stays at the Blue Water Inn?
Her mother's from beyond the mist.
Oh, yes. You, as I hear, you will be needing the Vistani. They're the only ones who can leave this place, they say.
Where's this blue hotel that you're talking about?
The Blue Water Inn, it's in the center of town. You can see it just beyond the north end of the Rue de Burgomaster. The Vinolovich. I butchered that name. After a few moments discussing with Father Petrovich, it's not long before you see a boy coming out of the like a door in the southeast portion of this main part of the chapel, and he comes out carrying a little bit of a candle, shuts the door behind him, being as quiet as possible, but there's still like a loud bang as he sets down a little bit of a trap door, and kind of walks back up to the father, and upon seeing you all is kind of, oh, excellent, you found the father. Message delivered. Wonderful. Is everything... Is... Oh, you had the message for me? Donovich? His message? Yes, I'm sure they were at the gate with the message last night. They couldn't share it with me then, but... I think they were just waiting to see you.
More like a metaphor, not like an actual message.
Okay. Well... Do you need to share the metaphor with me?
Oh, I thought we went through that with the girl and all that.
Oh, I thought you would have the metaphor from Father Donovich. Okay. The girl was the message. Yes, we can take her into the orphanage if you desire. You intend to take her back to her mother. Best of luck dealing with the Vistani. Otherwise, it probably would have been a better choice for her mother to come here.
Such a long journey to get here. Seems crazy to go back to speak to the Vasani, the very people we were avoiding.
Yes, everybody says it is only the Vistani who travel through the mists. We have not welcomed them into Vallaki for... Oh, it's been most of my life. I think it is close to 55 years now that the Vallaki have not entered into the walls here, and we have been protected by the devil. It is certainly an option for safety.
I'm sorry. So what stops them from coming in unwelcomed?
Our guards, they're rather peaceful people. I do not even think they carry weapons. I mean, they have daggers, but nobody's ever done any harm with a dagger. Well, I guess you all will be on your way. If you would like to turn the little girl into the orphanage, you are most welcome. I will have to return to some of my duties. I have prayers to go over, people to protect. But all will be well. Have a blessed day.
Seemed like an awful lot of work to get here, and I'm not even sure why we came.
I get it if like the locals need the Vasani to leave, but we're not locals. We're not from here. Why do we need them?
I feel like you are welcome to test it, but everybody has said that walking into the mist will only hurt you, and you will only arrive back in this place. I believe what they are saying is that the Vistani are the ones who can walk through the mist, get to other places, to our home. It's so hard not to do that Romani accent, even with Sophia. So, are we going to find the Vistani? I do not believe that it is our best choice to go after the servants of Strahd. But if we intend to try to ask about traveling through the mist, if that is what people say they do, have a choice.
I mean, we could just risk it and try walking through the mist to see what happens.
I don't get why we can't just go with the Vistani. Like, they could go through the mist. Why not go with them?
Well, they are very creepy people. You may not have met them yet, but they seem very talkative and intrigued by us. But I guess most people have looked at me funny. They have looked at you funny. They've definitely looked at him funny, as she points to Flea, the black, hairy, cat-like person. To the Blue Water Inn? Do you Vistani, Blue Water? Walk around town and get in fights until we get murdered? Walk into the mist? What would you all like to do? That was both the DM and Sophia asking, what would you all like to do?
Now might be a good time just to see if my mic's working better now.
Seems a little quiet, but I heard that.
Yeah, it was much clearer though. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking Blue Water Inn. Doesn't make sense to go all the way back to Barovia to try to talk to them.
Yeah, we could congregate at the Blue Water and go from there.
I'm good with that as well.
That was as good a plan as any.
Walking back across the town, you all return, like, walking eastward. You're again kind of walking uphill as you head towards that center position of town. And shortly after getting back to the tri-way split in the road, you kind of like look around, expecting this is where the Blue Water Inn was supposed to be. And after a moment, Sophia kind of points back a little bit to the west of you all, and offset from the road on its own property, but away from the road by a distance, you see a small, like, floor plan of a house from this perspective, and you see that it has like a larger second level than the lower level, and there's almost a veranda that like comes out over a well in that front area, but it kind of has like an open floor plan almost on the base level, walking underneath this porch. And you see people kind of walking in, and you just see a small wooden sign about 2x2 that has just a blue waterfall crashing over some rocks at the bottom. And there just seems to be this nice little house. There's about 6 different spots where smoke is billowing up out of the roof on a 3rd level. And it's otherwise this like weird shape where it's larger on the 2nd and 3rd levels. And it's a few hundred feet away from you and a little bit back in the direction that you all came. Assuming everybody's kind of walking in, you enter through the doors, you see there's 4 or 5 tables inside of this lower level. There's not too many people inside. There seems to be 2 figures who are kind of like a dusty blonde who are sitting next to one of the doors, like on the eastern side, and they seem to be enjoying some ales and more or less being kind of rowdy. They're immediately loud, like as you're kind of walking in there. And then you see a kind of speckled gray black-bearded gentleman who seems to be kind of like mid-50s or so, and he's just standing behind a small bar and just seems to be like working behind the actual taps for the moment. Taking a moment, he seems to be pouring a wine and kind of looks up to see you all walking inside and says, welcome, welcome. Coming to the Blue Water Inn. It's a pleasure to have you. How is everyone today? How are you? How are you? Good, good. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Little parched. Would you care for some wines? Some water? Is everyone well? Have you been silenced?
Kavi just turns to the group and be like, I'm just going to grab us a table. And she goes to find a table.
Like 5 tables, all within 15 feet of the bartender, and he's just kind of looking at you all dumbfounded.
She finds one like that's relatively in a corner.
A round of drinks for my companions, good sir.
We have our different wines. If you would care for Red Dragon Crush, we also have Grape Mash number 9. Would you?
Well, for me, whatever you would recommend. However, for my companions, I will let them themselves.
Think we have a bottle of the Champagne de l'Estampe. It is quite a vintage piece if you are looking for the finest. But otherwise, the Dragon Crush is quite very rich. It is wonderful in its own right. It is not our best.
Even the Dragon Crush will be fine for now.
Dragon Crush for everyone. Kind of looks around, like nodding at you all.
Just water for me. Trying to keep a clear head.
And the
Sarissa's
water.
gonna nod. Sorry, Sarissa's gonna nod and then follow like Cavi to the table in the corner.
Kavi just turns down the drink.
After a few moments, he returns. He's got a stack of 8 glasses, and he sets down the 7 glasses on the table, fills one with water, and like kind of turns back around to you all, and pouring all of the glasses. He then takes one up, and he says, "To the Red Dragon Crush," and he takes a little sip with you all. "Welcome," and then he'll walk away.
Fine mess we seem to have found ourselves in.
Yes, I'm not sure exactly what we need to do. Seems like we need to find a way out of here, and everything points to the Visani.
Yes, it seems that way.
Well, on the plus side, you'll probably get to meet Strahd.
I can't say I'm looking forward to that introduction, if I'm honest.
Well, I'm sure he'll like your friend. He seems to be intrigued by their sorts, and he'll kind of like shake a little nod at the girls.
Sarissa's gonna narrow her eyes at Zarkis and take a sip of her drink.
Kavi just like more or less holds her head, and she's almost like he's being serious.
Oh yeah, I meant the tails. I didn't mean any offense by it. He seemed, I don't know, to take a liking to Kavi.
What happened when you guys ran into him? I keep hearing his name everywhere, but no idea who that is besides demon, devil, all those words.
He charmed me. Let's just put it that way.
Apparently, he's the ruler of these lands. We met him briefly when we came into the mist. He was overall fairly kind, but creepy. And like she said, but been sort of avoiding him as we found out that he may be after Sophia. So for her protection, we were trying to get away, but now we're here, and it seems like we need to go back.
And how did you come by this young girl, anyway? By the way.
Well, back in Daggerford, her mother was looking for her, so we took the job, and it wasn't but a day. Barely made it into the woods, and next thing you know, we were ambushed or attacked, and we woke up in the mist, and there was Strahd inviting us to his realm, his land, to Barovia. And then once we got here, we ended up, it's a long story, but we ended up finding this one inside the equivalents of some sort of demonically possessed house or something. We were able to save her, but now that she's safe, she doesn't feel safe, and it feels like we need to get her somewhere, but I don't know how to get her to safety but through the mist. And Bastani seem like the only people that can get through the mist, so
Wow, what a story. And there's me thinking I had an interesting life.
Starting to think
well,
What were you saying, Sarkis?
I was just gonna say, well, now you're up to speed on Strahd and the Vistani. You know as much as we do, but the truth is even if we do go see them, I'm not sure that they'll help us. They'll more likely just direct Strahd in our direction, but perhaps we should check.
Starting to think my mother didn't even know who you all were when she hired you. Because surely she could have gotten a little bit more effective people to come. You don't seem terribly prepared for this.
I mean, we saved you, didn't we? The first party got wiped out completely.
Saved something, but I think I was pretty close with the kids. Just kind of like Bradley, like turned away, like shrugging off your thoughts that you saved her.
I'm sure you would have been fine. So what time of day is it right now? Is it still like pretty early?
More or less, depending on how long you all intend to hang out and sip wine at the Blue Water Inn. But yeah, you'd still be probably still well before high sun. Or not really high sun, high moon.
If memory serves, I believe we were told that Strahd is the one who keeps it dark as well.
I'm not sure if we could make it all the way there and back in a single day, but perhaps it's worth a try, at least to get there and see.
At this point, I'd be willing to try anything to figure out what mess I've landed myself in.
Just know that this town is the safest we've felt since we got here, so
All noted. But if there's nothing else we can do here, then I guess that plan's as good as any.
if you're up for a little adventure, maybe we can get some answers at least.
I'm always up for an adventure.
Well, we could do that one thing where you've tried not to go visit Madame Eva.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Do we remember roughly how long it would take? Was that like a half day's journey to get back to there?
I think it was 12 hours.
No, I think it was like a 8-hour travel time from Barovia to Vallaki, and then it was longer because of what you all did, both going off the trail as well as essentially getting lost at different points.
All right, well, we still have the map, and I feel like we have a pretty good idea how to get back there. So I think that's the route to go. Like, hit the road and go back to Madame Ava and see if she could, like, read our fortunes.
Yeah, I believe it's probably, I think it was roughly about the halfway mark. So I feel like you'd be pretty confident that you'd be able to make it in the day and get back to Vallaki. Part of why you all got a different time from Ismark than what I gave you is for you all to start to gather that people don't go between towns. Most people don't know how long it will take you to travel from Barovia to Vallaki because Ismark has probably never done it in his adult life. And that's why I was trying to give you a time that he was very hesitant to tell you. And I feel like that's where the 10 or the 12 might have come from. was his idea of how long it would take, not how long it actually did take.
Would it be possible to search out for some transport? Take us?
To scout out transport, you said?
Yeah, like around the town.
Roll an investigation. You take about an hour kind of walking up and down some of the main streets, trying to look for somebody who seems like they could give you like a carriage ride for the six of you to get there. And after a while, you find somebody who seems to have a few horses off on one of the side streets. And you just see like this person there with like a couple of horses, and it seems like a wagon for like maybe hay.
I don't know, guys. What do you think? This could work if we intend to make that journey.
It's worth a shot, and regardless of what they say, yes or no, at least we'll get an idea of how likely our return is. uh,
How would we pay him though?
I've got a few gold. Perhaps more importantly, we should see what the price is. Is there somebody like standing out there, or like a shop that we would suspect they would be inside of?
It's more or less like you guys have walked around and you found somebody who has two horses and like a hay cart, like a wagon that could fit you all. This person's like still going about their day working.
So kind of like a farmer.
A lot like a farmer.
Hey, you there. Question. Want to make a quick buck?
I'm not much of a hunter. Uh, uh, uh don't have any deer. Nope.
Oh no. How much for the wagon for the day? Need to travel. Be back probably before dark.
I don't know if you could just handle my horses. What don't right know if I can trust you with them. Um, where do you need to go?
It's a long story. Probably further than you've ever been. How much for the horses and the wagon for the day?
I can't do my work if I don't have them. Uh,
We would compensate you, of course, for the inconvenience.
you'll compensate me? What can you do? How can I trust you?
Oh, I, for one, am a paladin, born to be lawful and just. That alone should be assurance in itself.
I swear a lot.
That's okay. So do I, from time to time.
Of course we can be trusted. I'm just a little old man. I wouldn't have lived this long if I couldn't be trusted. How much do you make in a day? We'll make it worth your while to borrow your horses and wagon.
In a day. Never been paid for a day's work. I think about like 4 copper, but my horses they've come down with the family. They're worth much more than my labor. It's a
No,
lot.
that's perfect. I'll give you 2 gold. You let us take the horses and the wagon for the day. We'll have them back by sunset.
Yes, but the horses, I think they would cost me much more than that to buy. I don't rightly know why I would trust you. What kind of collateral can you leave? Leave the big one, and then I'll know that you'll come back for them. He like points off to Vox.
How about we leave the furry one with you, and then we'll be back for.
Oh, I thought that was just a rat. I don't know if you'll come back for a pet. I feel like the horses are a little bit more. Oh, where are you trying to take my horses?
Lee, get over here and sell yourself. It's not a pet. This one's a humanoid. We'll be back for him. If we leave the big one with you, he could just walk away. If we leave Flea with you, he's good company. And we could be trusted.
I understand the words, but that's what I mean. I swear every day, and it means nothing. I don't think I should loan you my horses. If you take them, I'll be ruined. My family will starve. No, I think it's best not to give my horses away.
What if does your family like Turkish delights?
I'm unfamiliar with what delight this is.
Teresa's gonna grab one from her bag and offer it to him. And here you go.
He like looks at it kind of hesitantly.
Pouty pipes up. It's sweet.
Takes like a little bit of a bite out of it and like gets a big old smile on his face. I think my children would definitely like these Turkish delights.
If you let us borrow the horses, I could give you a bit more. We could give you some gold. We'll be good.
Sweets, no, sweets will not. I'm looking out for the good of my family. Where do you all need to go? What is, I don't think, I can't give away my horses. I just want to throw it out there. Horses are like 50 gold, guys. Do you have anything that is collateral for 100 gold? Turkish delights are not it.
It looks like we're walking.
Yeah, coming in from the mist, I don't have much more than maybe 40 gold on me.
So, no further information, no collateral. Are you all moving on from this person with horses?
Yep, I think we're gonna have to go on foot. I mean, I only have 10 gold, so definitely nowhere close.
Holly just opens up her coin pouch and a fly comes out.
Get worse with the Turkish delight there. So a little bit later in the day, heading off to the east of Vallaki. You'll get a little bit different of a view as you leave Vallaki. Heading out between the valleys, you can actually see the slow curvature of the mountains in front of you that lead to the peak of Ravenloft standing above the mist. The actual silhouette is shrouded just as much in the mist as you see the 4 turrets of Ravenloft kind of poking through, and little bits of the actual lower battlements, but most of what you see from this perspective is just the mist and the little bits of Ravenloft peeking through. And you kind of slowly start to head up and snaking through the mountains before eventually kind of starting to twist back to the south. And the windmill builds up in front of you, kind of taking up the little bit of a skyline ahead before you turn to the east of that and start to head towards the gates of Barovia. As you come through from the Vallakian side of the gates, you see these massive human figures who are standing on each side flanking the gate. And they are just massive knights with shields, almost 150 feet tall. There's mountain-like structures and just these massive wrought iron gates that stand between them about 20 feet wide. And approaching through the gate, the door swings open as you approach close to the gate, and you see the road just extending up from you, and it leads directly towards Castle Ravenloft ahead. And moving beyond, the road looks to the south and straight ahead to the east at Ravenloft.
Wasn't planning to come back here so soon, but here we are.
No sounds of Rahadim.
Present? Nope.
So I guess we'll just keep moving. We know the way pretty well, I feel like, from the map.
You can start to head along that southern path. After about another 40 or so minutes, you make your way to Ser Falls, and you are overlooking this large lake to the west of you, and the bridge in front of you heads over directly over the falls themselves, and you just hear the crashing of water below you. It's about 150-foot high waterfall at the bridge. Ahead of you across the bridge, you see the road leading to the south and off into the woods.
South of Sayre Falls. This looks like we're right on track. Quite a sight to see.
After heading south on the road for a while, starts to zigzag, and you climb a little bit higher into the mountains. About 2 or so hours will pass by until you eventually come across a three-way split in the road. There's a small pavilion set up about 2 feet above the surface of the ground. This wooden platform is built, and it has a single arched wooden frame over top. And there's a noose hanging from it, just lightly waving in the wind, where Kavi not too long ago saw herself hanging. I think we went too far. I think we have to go backward now. I think take this northwestern route.
Yes, I think you're right. I know it said south of Sayre Falls, but was there like a separate path? Did we miss like the little path off into the woods?
Well, effectively, I stopped at the bridge to see if anybody wanted to look for it or had any thought towards it. So we continued on the road. So you have effectively, there was a chance to try to find it from the falls, and you've now come back all the way around to the southern side. But from this direction, there is an old path that leads to the northwest, and you're more likely to be able to find the Vistani rather than the other side, which is like basically trailblazing.
Okay, great. I think we overshot it. We're gonna have to double back.
Okay, this is all new territory to me, so I will follow your lead.
So you climb pretty steadily down until you're eventually kind of alongside the water. And after a little bit, once you get close and within view of the water, the trail seems to just kind of get lost into the forest, where once there was like an actual like beat down part of the path just kind of disappears into a little bit of a game trail. And then after a little bit, the game trail itself seems to get lost, and there doesn't appear to be a trail any longer. I need somebody with survival, and they can try to lead the party. If somebody else has survival, you can help them, or you can both try to lead, like making a roll.
I got a 16.
So you are able to keep an eye on the actual water, keeping that to the side. You all are pretty sure that you heard the Vistani were near Serpool. And as you kind of travel along, keeping to a little bit more clear paths, you do notice here and there that there's signs of like a footprint here and there. And within a little bit of time, probably a few hours after high sun, damn it, high moon, you would have a pretty solid view of this small camp of wagons, all kind of presented in a circle around a single wagon that has like large draping like linens kind of hanging from it, and then there's a big campfire already burning in the center of these wagons. You all are kind of looking down from a little bit higher on the like side of this forest, looking out into the clearing and the pool ahead of you.
If I was gonna get my fortune read, it'd probably be down there, so we must be on the right track.
Great, let's go see.
Are you all walking into town? Or are you walking into there? Are you just kind of going to watch for a while? Tell me about what you're doing.
Definitely planning on walking in.
So, as you get closer to the camp itself, there's music playing. There seems to be a lively group of people. There's dancing around the fire.
This is a more pleasant scene to behold in what we've seen so far.
As you all kind of progress further and further towards the camp, nobody seems to really be looking out for any danger. These people seem to just be making merry and enjoying themselves. What would you like to do?
Is there someone that looks like of authority around the bunch to approach?
Roll a perception check. You see 3 different people that seem to be authoritative in their own right. One person who is kind of like leading the dance with a single drum underneath their left arm, and they're more or less creating the beat, and people are dancing behind them, kind of following their lead around the campfire. There seems to be one individual who seems like grayish in beard and just seems to kind of be like laid back on like a pile of pillows and kind of carpets, just like in this like big lazily kind of their body language is kind of in that ownership kind of spread out kind of feel. And then the oldest figure in this kind of general area seems to be somebody who is just sitting off to the side. She's kind of watching everybody. She's definitely like bouncing with the actual beat, enjoying herself. But she's like off to the side, just kind of watching everybody. And seems to maybe be like preparing some foodstuffs. Who would you like to approach?
Do we have a preference, Ozzy?
I'm not sure we ever got any sort of description. I kind of was under the impression she was an older woman who told fortunes, so if that gives us any clue. I could just ask somebody. These people seem nice enough, though.
Sounds like a plan. Shall Vox approach maybe the lady who's preparing some food and ask if seen the fortune teller of these parts?
So, as you approach through, you kind of pass through like a good part of the group, heading towards this person who seems to be kind of preparing some food off to the side. And this older lady, she seems to remark you pretty soon as you like approach the fire. And in general, people aren't really paying too much attention. You are getting looks from people. But as you approach, she kind of like sets down her little paring knife, and you see as she like wipes her hands on the like little bit of like a red bit of fabric that's draped across her waist, and she kind of like throws back a bit of a hood that was like covering over her eyes, and you see she's got dark black hair with like very prominent streaks of gray. And as you approach, she kind of like looks little like not so hesitant so much as like intrigued, just at your sight and as you walk into the actual party. And she kind of looks over things and like, you're looking for a fortune teller? Well, you're in the right place. We've all have our abilities.
Perfect. That is exactly what we were seeking out. My party and
But specifically, Madame Ava.
Oh, I see. That's good. That's good. Well, she of course is here as well. You can go see Madame Eva. And she like points off to the wagon that's like draped across with the different linens like towards the center, and where the fire is a little closer to that. Inside.
Much appreciated. Perfect, perfect. And Sarkis will start scurrying over that way.
Vox will nod his appreciation and follow Sarkis.
You know, Madame Eva's not the only one who can read a fortune, but she's the one everybody hears about. Walking inside of the tent, it is very much like lit with candles inside and is extremely dark. None of the light from outside makes it past like these entry porticos of linens that kind of cover her a little bit here. And you see that she's more or less just inside of her wagon. Just like right next to it, there's an entire like wall of the wagon that kind of drops down, and you see as there's pillows and cushions laid all across the ground, but she has this very beautiful, ornate, gaudy, like colorful pinwheel of things happening in the wagon, and it all kind of explodes outward as you see all of these draped linens that kind of create this whole little environment. But it is a very plush, soft room kind of presented here on the floor. And you just see this tiny little lady. She's wearing a dark red gold laced cloak, and you just see like wrinkles across all of her face and just tiny little hands. She's like maybe like 4.5 feet tall, and she kind of like looks up at you all, and as you walk in, the first she calls you all by name as you walk in, and the first would be, welcome, Sarkis. It's a pleasure to finally get to meet you.
You as well, of course. You knew we were coming.
It is my job to keep due diligence of all far travelers. Sometimes I just don't always see in the right order, and I see your ends before I meet you, and I meet you before I see your ends. She just one by one welcomes you all into her little abode here, and there's already a seat for each of you set around her, and it's like a circle of sitting kind of Indian style on the ground. And she's just kind of like looking over a little crystal ball in front of her, and she's shuffling a pack of cards that seem to be almost twice as large as her hands. And Kavi, welcome, little lady. Vox, Larissa, and Flea, you hideous little beast, you. You look better. And
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
It's a pleasure to meet you as well. She hands Sarkis a little piece of like tissue paper. It's just right before. Yep, there you go.
Some strange allergies since I came to this land. Certainly feels like we're in the right place, though.
It's a touch of destiny about you.
Now you're speaking my language. Not sure what we're here for or what we're looking for, but I know we found you. Maybe we can get some answers, perhaps a key to leave this place?
Leaving will certainly be a accomplishment that you can be proud of. The type of thing that one could die well for a chance to leave this place. Don't be in too much of a hurry. Just like slowly shuffling the cards as she looks over all of you all. Very slowly just gazing across your face, taking time to like stare into your eyes for what feels like minutes of time. The whole time just kind of keeping like a vague conversation, asking you about yourselves, speaking about things that she shouldn't rightly know. Kind of going over things for a while. She's just going to eventually, seemingly like getting distracted, she drops a card and it just falls out onto the dark black surface sitting at her feet. She just has like a silken fabric kind of stretched out in front of you all. I think I have. All right, so as the first card falls out, she kind of looks over it for a moment. This is a peculiar moment. Location. A place to be vigilant. Stay in the present. This location speaks of knowledge. Knowledge of the ancient will help you. Knowledge is power. This will be the power to help you understand your enemy. Understand the ancient powers of this place. Those that you've been touched by, looking to flee. Those that you've been touched by, looking to Sarkis. The ancients that affect everyone here. Happiness has been forbidden in this land. You'll find this knowledge with a wealthy woman, a staunch ally of the devil. But she has this great treasure under lock and key, closest to the most precious of things. And with bones of an ancient ally, and looking to Vox. What's your god that you've chosen for Vox?
Give me 2 seconds.
I feel like you did Helm.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of like looks at you for a moment. An ally that would be close to your heart. Your God may be removed in these lands, but you might find under lock and key are the bones of an ancient ally of yours, an ancient enemy of hers. And then within a moment, her speech kind of gets a little bit more, like, less faded and a little bit more, like, back to the present. And she kind of drops right back into just having, like, chit-chatty conversations with you all. Asking Kavi about some of the books that she's been reading, almost questioning you on thoughts, like reminding you of things that the Durst Manor has already started to consume from your memory. She's very, like, proddy, and she's clearly somebody who knows more. And she's already spoke about things that happen in other places, talking about things that you've not talked about. And it's very casual until, again, another card just pops out of the deck as she's shuffling it and falls to the ground. This is something past, lost to time. This location can be a powerful force for you, long forgotten in this land. An ally to be with you, within you, held at your heart. This is something for good and protection. A symbol like yours. And she would look to both Vox and Zarissa. A great symbol of hope. Hope in a land devoid. You will find a man is not what he seems. He does all he can to hide his valor. He has even given up his greatest friend, abandoned. I see him travel in a wagon, no Vistani wagon. He is out of sorts. He travels in a wagon of wonders and very bright. It's loud. He's a bringer of joy. This land has no space for his kind here. He has lost his fight. My bad. It has lost its fight. This land has no valor remaining. But this man, he does everything to hide it. He is a great warrior hiding in plain sight. This man, he has that symbol. He will not help you. But if you find that within his camp, this item, it will be a great aid for you in your fight against the devil. And again, her speech just falls back into, like, casually chatting with you all. And she continues to shuffle as if neither of these cards have been pulled. And she just continues on chit-chatting about your day, about traveling, asking why you didn't come straight from Sere Falls. And then after another minute or so, another card pops out of the deck while she's shuffling. This location is of the future. Future that has not risen. No future hope cannot overtake the horizon. There's no completion. This is a wand that commands the rising day. It's the power of the ages. There's a fallen house, silver scattered to thieves. Their guard has fallen. Even dragons are crushed with the sinking mist. Look to the highest peak for the faraway land. In a silver vision of these dragons, you will find your completion, the rising sun. And at the edge of a blade, perhaps we will all see the sunrise. And she kind of continues on asking little know-nothing questions of everybody. Curious if you want a glass of wine. If you need anything to be comfortable until everything begins. And again, a card pops out, and within a moment, she seems lost in the moment. This location speaks of help. In dire times ahead, even great heroes falter. Each needs their inspiration to remember their humility. Without it, this card sheds light on one who will help you. They will be great in battle. They will battle perpetually against the darkness. And as she kind of like looks down for a moment, you see her glance actually cross over the card. And in a moment she stops. This cannot be. The cards lie. I see a dead man. Man noble of birth squandered. His life is gone. His life has been a foul perversion. Perverted potential. The things he did with his widow are horrible. Pays for that now. Your vigilance has not faltered. It is a disgusting thing. Your great ally is already dead. She's a little quiet. She kind of comes to, looks for her wine, noticeably shaken, noticeably quiet. She's not like a chit-chat moment here. And she kind of like looks around. After a moment, she grabs a little leather pouch, and you see her kind of open it. A few moments goes by, and she rolled like a little cigarette for herself, and she sits there, and she lights it. She starts to smoke, and a haze kind of enters into the room, and all of you feel maybe a little bit cloudy as things start to fill, and it seems almost as if the air is stagnant in this place. And he continues to shuffle the cards. There's a moment where she's like shaking, holding this cigarette in her hand. This location is a certainty, finality. In a land which even life does not end in death, collapsing, crushing force. And she flips over the card very purposefully here and sets it down in the table. Collapsing, crushing force beyond mortality. This is your enemy. The land, the ancient, the darkness. Your greatest threat is deep in a dungeon of bones. The crushing cold grasp of death awaits you in that blasted pit place. And she points to the north. It's just one of the random corners of this actual area. And then in a moment, she just almost like exhaustedly kind of like collapses and seems even smaller than before. But she seems to be sitting in front of you all, head covered in her robe, silently smoking. And that's the full Taroka reading, not piece by piece. Did the Dark One show you what you wished to see? Was that what you had hoped for? Was it worth your travels? She seems to just be kind of looking ahead, as if she can't see any of the cards in front of her. Her attention isn't looking down. She's purely looking at you all at this point and seems just locked in your gaze. Yes, libations. We most feel exhausted. Zarina, please bring us a few carafes. Let us enjoy some drink. You all enjoy wine of the land? We've very recently gotten this bottle of Fireball. I believe that could be very interesting. One of the younger boys has brought a few of these medals back for Loco. I think we also have some ales. I think. Do you have any of the Doomseeker brew? What would you all like?
Carissa's gonna shake her head. No, thanks.
Vox will also decline on this occasion, having heard such sombering fortunes.
Well, we certainly got our fortunes read. I'm not sure we learned anything, though. I probably have more questions now than before we got here.
Don't suspect the playthings of the devil would be excited to hear why you've arrived in this place. Perhaps rest assured that there are more powers than simply the ancient evils of this land. And perhaps you all can shine. Make a difference. But for now, perhaps some dance, little music, and maybe you all can build up an appetite. And she kind of stands up, and in the moment of her like taking back to her feet, all of a sudden it's as if the noise of the music and the dance outside has been let into the tent, and in a moment there's just a loud beat of a drum. There's like singing from many different voices outside, and it very quickly, like as if the party atmosphere was always around you, but for just a few moments was locked in or locked out from the tent. And she just reaches an arm out, kind of holding up the tent. She's got this tiny little arm, and she's holding up like the edge of the tent just a little bit, and you see the littlest bit of light kind of coming in from outside, and you very quickly recognize that the candlelight and this misty experience inside of this tent was definitely a creation as much as a presentation. And she kind of steps out, just very slowly walking off into the crowd. And you see as she joins some of the festivities.
Well, now what do we do with that information?
I wish I could tell you, but we need to decide immediately if we're going to try to return tonight or stay here.
I'd rather return, even if it means we have to stay outside again.
Do we get any kind of rough idea, like how long it's been or how long till quote unquote nightfall?
You feel pretty confident that maybe an hour kind of progressed by there. You're probably pretty safe to go back to Vallaki, and Flea kind of like looks off at the sky and he kind of stares and like, I'm pretty sure we're probably halfway past midday. I think we've got a good few hours of travel and a little bit of extra space before they would have locked the night for nightfall.
Well, perhaps we head out sooner rather than later. Then to try and see if we can get ourselves some accommodation if we make it back to the town uh, before day's end.
Yes, I'd certainly rather be early than late.
Sophia is going to walk up to one of the groups and take a bottle of liquor from them and just kind of like raise this bottle that has this red devil figure on the front of it and like a beautiful golden label behind, and she kind of looks at everybody, raises it and takes a sip, and she like looks at him again and like puts it into her like little backpack, looking at everybody. They don't seem to be reacting, so she just kind of turns away, comes back to you all. All right, I'm ready.
How old did you say this girl was again, guys?
Oh, she's a child.
Right. Okay.
Kavi just like stands up and heads outside of the tent.
So, assuming you all intend to leave, you want to do you have thoughts on how you would like to head back?
Try to take like the north trail if we can figure out how to maybe like follow the water back to the bridge and take the regular way, not the long way.
Everybody ready to head off and do that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let me have you roll a survival check.
Everyone, or who in particular?
You guys can do a group survival if you'd like, as long as Kavi is the only person with survival proficiency. In general, I would leave it to her to lead the party, unless the party wants to do it as a group.
Oh, okay. Sure. Got it.
So it takes not as long to like get started, but there is certainly a little bit higher of a effort heading off in this direction. It's not too long until you actually have the entire view of the waterfall falling ahead of you all, dropping off about like 200 feet or so. And this entire path ahead of you is basically walking up at as steep of a gradient as kind of possible. It's otherwise not hard to follow. It just takes a good bit more time to actually walk up that incline as you're kind of like jumping up to this bridge across the stair falls, rather than like slowly switchbacking up the forested mountains to get to that point. It seems a little bit faster, but it takes so much more effort than what took the first time that you all passed this way. But it's still pretty early in the day. You still see like quite a few measures of your thumb beneath the sun, or damn it, the moon, still in the sky, and you kind of look off and you feel like you've made pretty good time as you get up to the falls, but it definitely, it's kind of a moot question in the long run, you would guess, whether going directly this way is faster than going the long way around. But you feel pretty confident that you can head off to the north and start taking the Svalich road off towards Vallaki. Heading off past the gates, you come to the same crossroad where you see the long, foreboding path up to Ravenloft, and it presented fully before you, standing high above in the mountains, and it's just looking down at you imposingly as you approach these wrought iron gates, and they seem open at present as you walk up to them.
Making good time. We should keep moving.
Passing through the gates.
Yeah, can we try to be sneaky when we go to like cross the main road so we're less obvious?
You can certainly try. You can do a group stealth check as you kind of tell everybody we need to be a little bit quieter here, keep things a little bit more covert. Excellent. Seems like everybody does pretty good job staying off to the edge, walking off away from the normal path. You're on a little bit higher grass. It feels like it's taking a little bit longer to cover the actual distance, but you're pretty confident that you're staying out of the view. You don't see any wagons coming down the actual pathway. And kind of last moment, you can make a break to try to cross through the gate and get to the other side where those massive stone statues are just vertical above you, looking over and down into the valley ahead. You end up kind of having to walk back into another area of the forested by the Svalich woods, and after a few moments coming through a few of the zigzags, starting to walk a little bit downward, you have that same kind of top down look towards the windmill as you did the night before, and you just see this old tattered beat up windmill, and it's now in full light of the moon, and you just see it's gray, beat up, aged. Nothing about this windmill looks well kept. It certainly doesn't look as inviting now as it would have the day before, and you can kind of pass by in a little bit of trepidation before you start to zigzag back along, and you all arrive back a few hours later inside of Vallaki, probably a good bit of time still before like nighttime, before the sun sets, but you do remark kind of that side trail may have still lost you a lot of that free space. But you are able to get back into Vallaki before the gates are closed for the night.
So should we try and find somewhere for us to shack up for the night before making plans on what to do from here?
I don't think I heard anybody say anything about another inn. I don't think Vasily said he planned to come back, so maybe Blue Water?
Yeah, seems like our best option, if not the only one. Blue Water it is then.
Blue water it is then.
You all walk back through Vallaki, heading through the main kind of thoroughfare. You still see quite a few people seem to be out and about towards the evening. It's not long before you have somebody who seems to be in like guard's attire hand you a piece of paper and just kind of like slaps it into Kavi or Kavi, and just like walks past you after handing you the paper, and just continues moving on. And just one after another, they seem to be handing out these pieces of paper.
I look down at it.
Seems to be some sort of promotion, maybe to get you to join the military.
What's that you got there, Cavi?
Looks like a military flyer. Seems they need recruits.
Recruits, huh? And can't understand for the life of me why they would need that in a place like this. Fox says, very sarcastic.
Heading back into the Blue Water Inn, it's a pretty similar situation. There's quite a few more people who seem to be sitting around. A good many of the people seem to be wearing furs. They've got like actual wolf head hats on. They seem to be cloaked in wolf. It's clearly a group of hunters has kind of returned to this area. Same two figures seem to be kind of drinking off in the edge. They seem sloppy drunk at this point. And then there's a couple of small boys, about like 10 and 12-ish, who seem to be playing in like one of the corners towards the bar. A somewhat skilled bard who knows how to play an instrument, seems to be playing a bit of music, kind of pacing around one of the upper stairs. He's kind of like singing down, serenading the like whole kind of bar. And you'll see as you look up, there's a railing around this central area, and it appears that like the rooms up above are both like on either side of the long direction of the house, giving different rooms up there, and the bard seems to be walking around that kind of area, looking down. So people seem to be enjoying different like platters of meats. Almost all seem to have the same color and general appearance of texture as wolf. What's for dinner? Hello, welcome to the Blue Water Inn. Welcome, welcome, come in. Oh, hello. Pleasure to see you again.
Kavi simply gives a nod to the bartender before taking out her lyre and starts doing more of an accompaniment to the bar that's already playing.
You there! Stop it! You can't. All tips come to me. I don't know her. Kind of stops playing for a moment, just like staring down at you, just like staring daggers. And you can just see, like, he's clearly flustered that somebody else would dare play an instrument. It definitely got far more beautiful to hear anything that was not his playing.
She takes a step further, pulls out her drum, and starts using her tail to keep like a steady beat.
Just a downright crime. Still get free board, right? Right? It's just like yelling down, and the bartender doesn't seem to be reacting to it.
She calls up and be like, "You're welcome to join me."
Ursula's gonna take a step back and try to hide her amusement from what's going on.
After a moment, the bard kind of seems to leave through one of the exits on that higher level, and then after a few moments, kind of pops back into the main entrance off to the east of you all. Walks up to the barkeep and seems to be having words with him. You all just want a long rest? Do you all have any thoughts on what you'd like to do in this tavern?
I have no clue what we're supposed to be doing or what our next step is.
The only thing I can make out from these tarot card readings is there's someone, a woman maybe, of wealth that might have information. If we could find someone that matches a wealthy woman description in town, perhaps, or something like that as a starting point, or I don't know, any of the other clues from the tarot cards, and just ask around for information. Other than that, I am pretty clued out. I don't know if anyone else has any ideas.
Who would you want to ask questions of first?
Maybe we could ask questions to the guys drinking.
So you would approach someone. What would you ask them? And who were you thinking? The guys that you saw drinking like all day here? It's like,
Yeah, we were like thinking about talking about like the wealthy woman, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
All right. Zarissa is gonna go up towards them, kind of just sit next to them, and just nod and ask if they've seen anyone that had a female that's had like a good chunk of money on her recently.
and who are you going up to? Like, who was it again?
The ones that were drinking all day at the bar.
All right, gotcha. So they're still being kind of loud, talking to each other, and kind of as you sit down, you very quickly get that like silence drops as they kind of look around, a little astonished, and hello, can we help you?
My companions and I were wondering, we're new to this area, if you've seen this woman that's wealthy.
Uh, just a wealthy woman. Our mother is rather wealthy. I hear Lady Petrovnovich is rather well off, and that's likely a lot of why the burgomaster married her. Uh, but who is this woman that you were looking for? You're just trying to get at her wealth? It's too late for that.
What was her name again? Beg your pardon.
You're just saying to the same group, like kind of like standing next to Zarissa?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you're the ones looking for her, aren't you? You don't know who you're looking for? You just want the wealth?
Apologies. We were told to seek out someone who would be able to aid us on our quest, um, and we were given a description of a wealthy woman to seek out. We thought fine gentleman might be able to point us in the right direction.
Well, you don't get too much finer than the Wachters, so you've come to the right place. Our mother is probably the wealthiest, though she's no shrew, so you won't be taking any of her wealth. But if you were looking for somebody of power, influence, and all the good things in life, you would be well put to find your way to Wachter House and join us in our works.
Kami makes her way over, still playing, and she mentions like the woman was an ally of the devil, if that rings a bell.
Who's devil? The devil of a burgomaster who lives here. You have been speaking to the Vistani. You most certainly are looking for our mother.
That's fantastic. We would love to seek an audience with her at a time of your convenience.
Well, we'll be drinking here for a while. You're welcome to find your way there and see if you can gain entry. Leave that to you, but for us, we have things to do. And they
How
continue
drunk,
drinking.
how drunk do they look?
They don't look sloppy, but they definitely reek of alcohol. They seem pretty well put together for what it is, but they're dressed really nice. Their overall attire seems well put together. They don't seem to be like other people who are wearing very like beat up and destroyed clothing, but there's certainly a slight air of nobility about these folk.
Could we just ask one final question to them before leaving them, just to find out what their names were?
Bigger one, a little bit more like square jaw, a little bit darker hair, kind of like rubs the head of his of the other, and he says, "This is my younger brother Carl, and I am the master, Nikolai. It's a pleasure to meet you all."
The pleasure is ours. And yeah, what was your family name again?
Wachter. You will be looking for Lady Wachter. You can head to the north, and you will not miss our abode. It's the largest.
Are you sure you don't want to come with us? Maybe introduce us to your mom?
Our mother will be a delight when she is dead, and all of her wealth is mine. But until then, I'm content to drink when I want to drink.
Well, thank you for your time in any event.
Don't worry about buying us around. I'll buy my own drink. And he kind of like walks off to like get the attention of the barkeep and get another carafe of wine.
Well, at least we have somewhere to go, I guess. Fox says to the party.
Yes, direction indeed. Perhaps she can provide some of the answers we're looking for, maybe even the question.
Heading out of the tavern, moving off to the north, you all kind of progress through a good chunk of the city as you start to progress north of the Blue Water Inn. You very quickly see a large 4-story home that's kind of looming ahead of you all, with the northern gates of Vallaki kind of just beyond it. And you see places surrounded by a plethora of homes, all of them designed in almost the exact same fashion, all of them seeming to be kind of quick construction, like very common construction. Not necessarily fine abodes. They count as walls, they count as ceilings for sure, but it's very uniform kind of around this house, how everything seems to be kind of popped up around it. And you very quickly can tell the difference between all of the houses that are not the Wachter house and the Wachter mansion. But there's a large gate around, surrounded by another wrought iron fence. There's tiny little symbols at the top that are very spiky and sharp points, but from a distance just seem to be kind of twists of the wrought iron, leaving the kind of tops of the gates less climbable.
Is there like a bell at the main gate?
Yeah, there's a little brass bell. It's probably roughly about the size of a skull. and it just has a little bit of a ringer kind of below it that hangs inside of the bell itself. And you can kind of pull down on it to knock it.
Kavi rings the bell.
After a few moments, the door ahead at the mansion opens up. A figure about 5 or so feet tall, cloaked in just dark, kind of pops out, and you see little glints in the light kind of catching their robe, but it appears to be a figure who's like cloaked in a black robe, and it's kind of thrown over their face, and they make their way up to the gate, open up to the gate to you, and welcome. Come in, come in. The lady is waiting for you. Come in, come in.
We follow them in.
We don't ever know where we're going, but somehow everyone is always waiting for us. Strange place.
Are you not with Madame Wachter? You are not expected by the master?
No, we are. Just a curious observation.
First rule of the Wachter house is you do not speak of the Wachter house. Come in, come in. Walk through the main entrance, and it's just like a pitch dark blackness. And then just beyond like this little entry room, you see a small staircase, very much like a old beautiful wooden construction. It's not as well kept as Vasily's home. Everything's not as grandiose, but it is very much still has that like noble air about it, where the wood is carved in this place, and everything is just a little bit darker. It's framed in blacks and in reds. There's candles that are like holding up light across different parts of the house, and it almost sinks into like the blackness of the walls and the reds of the wood. And it's a very dark and foreboding look ahead of you as you see this staircase and walk through this dark, like black abyss like room. Yes. Lady will see you in the sitting room. Welcome, welcome. Lady will see you. See you in the sitting room. And this person kind of like reaches out a hand, and you, for the first time, you see a pretty like a gray kind of hand just pointing off to the east. And there appears to be a large sitting room, pretty nice table to it. It's very, you can almost immediately see like bits of dust, that this room doesn't really get used that often.
Guys, I know this might not be the best time to bring it up, but just was pondering on my way over to this house. The tarot cards from before. I remember one of them said something about a man is not what he seems and does all he can to hide his valor, banded by his great friend, so on, but would be a great ally and warrior, and having an item that we must seek. And he's described in the tarot to have been traveling in a wagon of wonders, surrounded by music and uh, hiding in plain sight. It just dawns on me that we might have already passed him if he was at that camp. We were just, well, remember there was another gentleman who was sat sprawled just on his side before we left. Well, I suppose it's not too important right this moment, but something to think about, perhaps.
I don't think I even noticed him. I was in such a hurry to get back here before dark.
Well, if this leads to no end, then perhaps that might be something we could seek to investigate.
Maybe we could check it out tomorrow.
Yeah, that
Okay.
sounds like a good.
We could check it out tomorrow, but let's not get our fortunes told again.
I agree. One reading was enough for me.
As everybody is kind of situating around the sitting room, it's not long before you see a tall, slender figure enter the room. She's draped in what appears to be like a burgundy red robe. She's got jet black hair, a few streaks of silver running in her hair, and she kind of looks in silhouetted from uh, the candlelight beyond her. She looks around. Well, you're not who I expected to see. Were you expected here at the Wachter House?
Is this Lady Wachter, I presume?
The one and only.
Pleased to make your acquaintance. My name is Vox Landgrave, and these are my companions.
Mr. Landgrave. It's a pleasure to meet you, Vox. My name is Fiona.
Fiona, lovely name.
And you don't appear to be... What can I help you with?
Well, Fiona, if you don't mind us calling you that, we have come on a grave uh, uh, journey, on a perilous task, and we've been told to seek you out, for you might be someone who might be able to aid us on our quest to avail all who are stuck in strange land, these ever mists that surround us.
Not all in Barovia are stuck in Barovia.
Yes, I hear there are certain beings that come and go as they please. However, they are the only being.
Yes, the Vistani serve Strahd, and for that he gifts them their ability to travel. They did great things to prevent Strahd from being injured and dying many ages ago. They kept him alive.
Uh, we are travelers from not from this land, and have been brought here um, against pretenses we were not aware, and we are seeking a way back out. And our journey has led us to you, hopes that you might be able to aid us.
No one who travels from this place, or, excuse me, no one who travels to this place can ever leave this place. Only the Vistani can leave. Those of us who belong here, we cannot leave. You cannot leave, far traveler. And she's got the biggest smile, and she's just filled with joy as she gets to share that information with you. It's like she's
Vox,
sharing the best news that you've ever heard. That's her, like, visage as she says that.
Vox turns to look at his companions with a raised eyebrow.
Perhaps you can tell us then Why have we been brought here?
Strahd enjoys his toys. No doubt he brings whoever he would like to bring to this place. Sometimes he sends his Vistani and they gather his folk. Sometimes he sends his wolves and they gather his folk. Sometimes he sends the mist and the mist gathers his folk. Who is to know what the Lord doth?
Well, I hear you have amassed great wonders and treasures in this land. Is that right?
Wonders and treasures, perhaps. My family is one of the oldest in Barovia.
None you would be so boastful to uh, uh, share in its knowledge with us.
Were I to have anything precious, I surely would not go yelling about it to the first person who steps up to my doorstep.
Vox turns to the party again and speaking from the kind of side of his mouth. A little help here, guys. Any ideas here?
We recently met with Madame Ava of the Vistani, and she read our fortune, and it pointed us in the direction of your sons, who pointed us in your direction. Perhaps you could enlighten us why all paths have led us here.
You found value in my sons? Now that's laughable. Clearly an apple can fall far from the tree. I am not sure why Madame Eva would have led you to me. She intends to meddle with the works of the Master. She can meddle. But the Vistani do little good for Strahd other than bringing his toys to this land. Why he continues to entertain them, I don't know. But perhaps it is a dear desire to be saved once again.
Well, we have it on good authority that Strahd wanted you to impart a specific item to us, to aid us on this journey he had embarked for us.
Were the Master to share this object with you, I'm sure you wouldn't be coming to ask me. What interest do you have coming to find me here? You seem lost.
Ah, but all are lost until found. Is that not so?
And Strahd sees all in his land. No one is long lost from his vision.
Quid pro quo. Vox turns to the side of his mouth to his allies again and says, "Guys, I'm running out of ideas here."
Perhaps Strahd is the answer.
Strahd is always the answer, my friend. You need a favor of anyone, you should court his favor. He is a delight to know.
And just out of curiosity, how would one gain audience with Strahd other than him appearing at his own will.
It's never difficult to find him. If you require his presence, you need only seek him out, and it should not be long before you meet either himself or Rahadin.
Rahadin, would Vox know who that is? Yeah.
Nope, again, until you guys meet something or ask about it, you have no reason to know about it.
Would the party know about Rahadin?
Yeah, I feel like we told you about the coach guy who followed us. That's like Strahd's servant, and that's who Rahadin is.
Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Effectively his chamberlain, so he's like a kind of first servant. You all are most welcome to... And after a moment, there's a scream kind of comes from upstairs. You all are most welcome to enjoy our hospitality, but I believe my sons were mistaken in telling you that I had any gift for you here. Perhaps you have other things to do, or perhaps you will... Perhaps we will find a reason for you to be here. Do not seem likely allies of mine.
Well, stranger things have happened today, and I'm sure stranger things yet will still come to happen. So we'll wait and see. I'm sure you'll be surprised.
I have to tend to my daughter. I trust that you all will see yourselves out. She kind of like looks back into the hall. Vite. Show them their way out. They are welcome to return to Achterhaus, but make sure to ask the boys what they were thinking. And she walks up the stairs towards where the screaming would have come from. So we are going...
What type of scream was it?
What was that?
My bad. What type of scream was it?
Just sounded like somebody screaming. Like, I don't know, not like a horror movie scream, but definitely like a shriek of a scream. I'm not really sure how to describe a type of a scream.
Someone found a spider scream.
Probably a little bit more... Oh, man. Like... Insane Asylum scream?